out a pug.
So it's best to use the same clay as you made the colored clay with?
It is best because then the shrinkage is the same and it's very compatible, but you don't have to. I would think that would be interesting if I were to use, say, 75, but I think you might run into more problems. And I think in clay we already have enough problems. You know, it's kind of like, I always just say most clays bodies shrink to 11%, because some shrink 9 3/4, some shrink 12, and it's kind of like 11's enough. I'm not that precise on, so I'm just going to cut a piece for a slab, and this is when we get into the inlay. This is when we do the design. So I'm just going to cut a piece, put it down here.
No, in fact, I was writing them down because most of the loaf I had forgotten, and I couldn't figure out why my loaf work at home always looks so mushed. Because I'm rolling it too much. When I put it together, I'm rolling too much. And
I cut 3 times.
Too much.
I cut 3 times.
Yeah,
if you do more than 3 times, then I think there's a good thing about it. Then you get a very fine, you know, like tiny print. You know, it's like a print dress.
You do, but it very easily becomes muddy.
It does become muddy.
Yeah. Mine was muddy. This part I remember.
I do this a couple times. So then I'm going to roll this out until it's going to be bigger. I'm just seeing if any of these are hard on the end. I'm going to roll it out until it's about 1/4 of an inch. Actually, a little bit more, maybe. Everything in my life in clay seems to be 1/3 of an inch. So let's roll it out so it's 1/3. This is easier, I think, sometimes than just as even.
What a smooth this one looks as compared to the ground clays.
It's nice. I roll it every direction on each side. Just take some time. I think that's why I want to do some coil and pinch, is I want to kind of slow down a little bit. And people have been asking me more about pinch pots and coil pots lately. So, okay. So I've got my slab. It's about between 1/4 and 1/3 inch. Then I get the fun of looking at my pieces and trying to decide which ones I want to use on this one. And then I have to put my glasses back on. So, I really like this one. I like the stronger looks. I'm going to cut this in half. Set this aside and work on this one. So you can see the thickness. It's 1/3 of an inch. It's not a 1/4. It's 1/3. I like the dots. They're not dots. They're like long. Okay, and you can overlap them. These look like snakes. There we go. And it's nice to leave some clear areas because it's almost like a negative shape in there. So this is what I'm going to do. And then one of the things that I tried skipping every step. And I'd have a problem. So I think most steps, if not all, are important, like covering these up. I tried leaving them uncovered. No go. No go. So then I'm going to take 2 paper towels. I can pick it up. There we go. Put it over top. I tried skipping this step. And I ended up with it rolled around the rolling pin. So it wasn't fun. So just the first time or two that you roll it, and what I didn't like was how it bunches up and makes some creases. But if you don't do that, and it's like blotting it, it just takes off the surface moisture. So then I lift it up. Then from now on I can just roll it like this. And this is when you inlay it, so you want to get it pretty thin because I can see lines around it. And what you're looking for is you're looking for, just what parts of it you really like, what part looks really good to you, which kind of will have a nice design. Well, I think I like where the brown, chestnut brown dots are. And none of it's wasted. I mean, it'll go into buttons or something of that sort. So I'm going to cut it here. Let's see this aside. Here. So I'm basically cutting it down because I'm going to use it on one more. I'm going to use 2. Okay, so what I do, I have the second half of the slab that I have put the design slab on, and now I'm just going to hatchet it all the way across, back and forth several times. This helps because right now you can see there are lines where the colored clay has been inlaid, and this will help get rid of that. So now I don't need to blot because I've already blotted. And now I'm just going to roll the design. And what I'm looking for is any air pockets. And I'm just going to cut this away. And normally I wouldn't. I would be a little bit more precise so I wouldn't have so much scrap. All the scrap will be, in fact, I'm going to take it and put it in a bag. Because once it dries out, then you have to water it down, whereas this will keep for months. And I can make beads and bubbles like that. Okey-doke. So now this is going to be my slab piece that I'm going to make pieces out of, and I'm just going to roll it. And it's going to stretch the design, and it's going to make it so that the clay is completely into here. Hi, you. This is Kat, everybody. Kat, this is Bonnie. This is Barbara. Hello. Hey. So you can tell, I will show you the difference in the design. Here is how it starts out, and here is how, think how much bigger this has been stretched. So if it started out on the paper towel as 1/4 of an inch, now it's just down to 1/64 of an inch or so thick. So you have to be careful, but at the same time it really gives life to the design to stretch it. And now those little pieces of chestnut color that I put in, this one I don't think is going to be big enough for my big plate, but I can make. I'll stretch it.
Up there.
Do you? I would love, yeah, I love another 4. Maybe there'll be something that'll strike my fancy. Because I can see a small piece of dried clay got into the piece right here, and I do not want to use that because the chances of it popping out. This looks fanciful. It looks spring. I'm glad you guys haven't used these colors. Something about 3/4 of the size of this.
Round?
It does not matter, yeah. Or the long plate, the long one. That's good. Yeah, thank you, Bonnie.
Well, that's a great shape.
Yeah, I just take just go over them a little bit like this. These forms are so nice. I love these.
I wish Mary had
Just-
more of them.
Oh, I know. Sort them out. And I'm just
Is she going to get more of them?
They have somebody who pours. I think if there was a demand, they would. Then I just take the knife and cut roughly around. This is a lot of waste. Normally I wouldn't have so much waste. It's very pretty.
Now, the most important question of the day, how do you keep it from warping as it dries?
I put it under plastic for like half a day, and then I always punk it. I call it punking it, punk it down a little bit. But it, if I cover it in plastic loosely, it will stay down there. And I honestly try not to touch it any more than need be. I don't like, I cut that one corner a little weirdly, and I just go around like this, kind of smooth it, and then I leave it. And then what I do is I'll come back, and with the steel wool, I leave it until it's bone dry. And when it's bone dry, I just take a piece of the steel wool and take it out of the form. And the steel wool is so fine, and I just go around it. And I also will go across the design just very lightly, because you don't want to go down too far. But now I don't see any places where it is raised up. If you find places where there are little gaps, it will crack quite often, and it won't ruin the piece, except then you'll have a crevice there, so you don't want that. So that's it, pretty much. It's 11:30 already. Wow, I talked a long time, but I had a lot of waste. But if you can see, let's make some buttons.
I was going to say,